Hey everyone. Okay, so I think the place to start with this chapter is what happened with James and Elsie, where they resigned themselves to the fate of the planet and let themselves be consumed along with Leonard by the chronophage. Which, quick correction from last week, I was so wrapped up in my own discussion that I forgot about the possibility of them not necessarily dying, but just having their time erased, which in some ways could be considered worse than death in this series. But I do like how, much like with Gilst, Mashima approached what happened to James and Elsie as a sort of like literal restart for them. Like this, as like despite them. Like the interesting thing about the way Mashima approaches is despite both Elsie and James basically being cursed to live forever as children on Leonard, as it was all those years ago, they themselves still pretty much saw it as a chance to start over, to really bury who they were and who they had become for the sake of Leonard, for the sake of their ideals, for the sake of their goals, their mission, and just trying to save trying to restore their home to the glory that it was. And now that it's all over, they feel free. They feel free to just live their lives the way they always wanted to, and it makes their ending feel all the more poetic and bittersweet, as if they were even more so than if they were just killed. I also like their whole like conversation and reconciliation in general, and how it was handled. Just a simple, quiet moment of sitting down and talking, revealing everything and not hiding anything from each other anymore. Like the full truth. They feel free to just reveal the full truth of everything to each other, as they had been doing to each other, and no more lies they had been lying to each other their entire lives. Like this is the first real time they're able to open up and be honest with each other. Which, on that note, we do got to talk about the reveal that ultimately Elsie and James's whole marriage and romance was from the beginning manufactured by Shia and Elsie's father to get a hold on the Mobius system. Which, again, I like how their romance did ultimately become more than what was intended, even if it spirals into tragedy. But on a more technical note, this reveal is one of those things where I like it, but I wish we got to see more of Leonard's past, either through having interspliced flashbacks or just a full-on flashback. Because for as much as I love the whole conversation between James and Elsie, the part where she described the whole Mobius plan, it's one of those things where it kind of feels like in the back of my mind, like there are missing pieces just from the whole thing of not getting to experience Leonard's past for ourselves as the reader. Like for me, it's the basic principle of from a show don't tell, and I know I mentioned that a lot, but in this case, I feel Mashima just needed to do a little bit more showing than actually telling when it came to Leonard. Like I feel like obviously he wanted to go for the whole exploration angle with Leonard, and just for us to kind of piece together through the exploration of the planet. But I feel like we needed a lot more showing. Showing of what the war was like, what Leonard was like, kind of thing. But maybe it was one of those things where he was pigeonholed by the fact that he couldn't show everything, and the fact that this is still a shonen technically. So I don't know. But yeah, with all that out of the way, though, I really got to talk about the artwork. I guess like I don't even know how to describe the problem I have with it, honestly. But the weird thing with the artwork this week is there are a lot of panels and full-on pages where it feels like things aren't fully drawn, or Mashima didn't have time to do a proper cleanup of the pages. Like something just felt like it went wrong when the pages were being scanned, and I don't know if it's necessarily like the artwork itself, or if it's just how it came out when it was being scanned. I don't know, but the artwork looked very rough this week. The only time I think that sort of like I don't know what it was, but it didn't look all that like there are certain scenes and panels that didn't look all that clear, or all that coherent, I guess you could say. I don't know, but it it didn't really look like it. Like it looked very rough, and like it wasn't it wasn't just like it wasn't all drawn correctly. I think the I think the only time I think that the rough look sort of worked for me is in the final moments where Elsie and James it was the moments between Elsie and James as the chronophages devouring Leonard. And again, the artwork, I can't say it's entirely bad. There are in between frames and scenes that do look like they were properly completed, properly finished, all that, properly drawn, all that, but it does make the more unfinished scenes stand out more. And I'm not going to claim to know what happened, but something definitely happened, and I hope something definitely happened in the post-production angle of things when Mashima was drawing this, and I hope Mashima can make touch-ups to this chapter when the official volume it's a part of his release. Like, yeah, I don't know, something just felt very off with the artwork this week, and I can't properly describe it. I don't even know if what I'm saying even makes any sense, frankly, but hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from with this. And yeah, that aside though, let's talk about Zhao Mei, where she says everything is now moving towards the final battle. And obviously the Eden's one is going to be part of that final battle. But I do want to bring up one thing I hadn't thought about or taken into consideration last chapter, which is that I feel whatever sentience has taken control of the Eden's one, I am wondering more and more if it's a being that existed like long in the past, like a force of darkness that had created what was known as the Dark Age and has resurfaced in present time. And if that is the case, if this being is a remnant of the Dark Age of the cosmos, and then that can only mean that within this final stretch of the story, we might actually start diving more into the Knights of the Dancing Sakura, their history, their history, the pretty much past of them fighting like during that Dark Age, like all that stuff, as well as like I think we might actually just in general what the Dark Age they fought against, really what the Dark Age really was, and what the Knights of the Dancing Sakura really fought against. Like I feel that's something that Mashima might actually be setting up here with the Eden's one. Again, I don't have much to back up that this is the direction we're going. But at the same time, it is true that the Knights of the Dancing Sakura and just their history are still the one big mystery left to solve in the series, with the only bit of knowledge we have about them having come from Zenolith himself. So it would make sense that they'd have to play some kind of a part in the final arc in some form or another, even if they don't play like a direct part. Just learning about their history might be something we cover in this final arc, I think. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.